Okay, anyways, back to talking to you. Do you know everyone in Cockatrice by sight? Well, not everyone, but I can make it my business to know the people who might need my services. A blacksmith work isn't just at the anvil, you know. Of your kind, we only have one or two at a push. There's Gimmel, the tavern keeper, great lad, even if he's not one for talking. Oh, rude. How dare you call me out? Anyways, are you Staunton Bane's brother? Yep, where he goes, I go. That's how we've always done it, even before the world wound. I forge the armor, he goes into battle and breaks it. He brings it back to me, and I repair it and make it better than before. Everything's changed since then, of course, but that part has stayed the same. So Staunton wouldn't tell me, but how is he to blame for the fall of Dresden? I've told this story so many times already. Well, telling it one more time won't kill me. The blacksmith sighs. Dresden was built after the First Crusade, back when it seemed like victory was ours for the taking, and that the demon invasion would soon be at an end. The population of Old Sarkoris was thoroughly diminished, and many of them hoped to see their hard fighting repaid with a small plot of unclaimed land. Dresden was a fortress built on all our hopes, and on Mendev's ambitions. Though you're not supposed to say that out loud. Sarkoris. The lost Kelid realm of Sarkoris was a savage land of fiercely painted warriors, shamans, and druids, established in 3672. A few years before the prophesied return of Aradin, stirrings of demonic cults began there. Sarkoris' strange mystics made grim predictions of the nation's fall. However, the people were mostly confident that Aradin's return would directly lead to a final end of these cults. Unfortunately, the mystics were proven correct. The death of Aradin in 4606 saw the appearance of the World Wound, a gaping gateway to the abyss in the heart of Sarkoris. The nearby city of Iz was the first to fall into demonic forces. At first, it seemed that there still was a chance to stop the invasion, but in 4638, the World Wound abruptly expanded. The rest of the clan hold soon fell. The very land became warped and twisted, and demons continued to spew forth from the World Wound. The Church of Iomedae declared the Mendevian Crusades in order to drive back the demons. However, whilst they had been somewhat successful in containing the threat, Sarkoris itself remains firmly under demonic control. What a city it was, Kidis. Now you know my name? Did I tell you my name? You can't even imagine. It was built by the finest engineers from the 5 Kings Mountains. Queen Galfrey spared no expense. Dresden was meant to be the capital of the Crusade movement, a monument to its glory and a beacon of hope for all Galaron. Heroes were drawn there to seek fame and glory, and they came from all over. Kaldor, Garund, Chianzia. I couldn't list them all. A relic known as the Sword of Valor was kept there, the banner that had been carried into battle by Iomedae herself back when she was still human. That banner protected the city and kept the demons from teleporting inside its walls. As long as the banner was in place, Dresden was invincible, or so we thought. Sword of Valor. The greatest Crusader relic, the Sword of Valor, is a banner once carried to battle by Iomedae herself. It is both a symbol and a powerful relic, or artifact, which emits an aura that blocks demonic powers. However, the banner only works this way in righteous hands. Hidden from the eyes of believers, it loses its properties. But then, the World Wound suddenly expanded. The demons launched a new onslaught, and folks started saying it was time to declare the Second Crusade. Dresden was unassailable, until one young officer was tempted by a beautiful woman. She convinced him that the banner shouldn't be hanging in the city, that its rightful place was on the battlefield. She whispered honeyed words about glory and valor and convinced him that he could be a hero as great as Iomedae herself. And the poor fool believed her. He rounded up some of his hot-headed friends and carried the banner outside the city gates on an unauthorized foray. The demons slaughtered them within seconds. But for some reason, the courageous ringleader was spared. A whole army teleported into Dresden. It was a bloodbath. Joran solemnly shakes his head. As you can guess, that officer was called Staunton Bane, and the woman turned out to be a demon. Not just any demon, it was Monago, that foul wretch. She's given us a lot of grief here in Cockatrice too. Just don't ask me what I was doing while my brother was off having tryst with that beast, and why I didn't save him from his own stupidity. The blacksmith gestures as if to ward off the inevitable reprobation. Who could have guessed it would end like this? I failed my brother, that's the truth, and I blame myself every day, looking at his plight. So that's the story. So why do you have your forge here in the tavern yard? Wherever I am, that's where my forge is. A true master of any craft will always find the tools they need. I miss my old forge, of course. It's now just a pile of charred stone and metal. But I've still got my hands, and that means I can work. Hey, do you recognize this sword? Do I recognize it? Of course I do. I made this with my own hands. There's my brand, see? The dwarf carefully takes the sword in his hands, gazing at it like a doting father. Oh, Yaniel. Yanel? Yanel. I don't know. Things have been tough without you. But at least we still got your sword. That's something. Jorn returns the sword to you. In battle, ordinary swords get blunted. They break. But sometimes a weapon can persevere. I don't even know how to explain it. I'm no authority on these things. But aren't you? You're a blacksmith. But something like an echo of deeds done with that weapon. Or more like the reflection of the wielder's soul? I don't know. I will say one thing. Take care of that sword. Yaniel may no longer be with us, but the demons will still remember why they need to turn tail and run when they see radiance. Ah, the scabbard's all worn. We can't be having a fine sword like this being carried around in this tatty thing. I'll make you a new one if you like. If the city stands strong and we both survive, come see me again and I'll have it ready. No charge. Torag watch over you. If you need something from me, don't be afraid to stop by. Thank you. Much kindness. We're still collecting random stuff. Who's up here? Eagle Watch. Horse on the roof. So fun fact, horses can climb ladders, but they can't get back down them. Or no, stairs, not ladders. Which is why firefighters have poles in them. Or firefighters have poles. Firehouses have poles. Because back when the fire wagons or whatever were pulled by horses, the horses would climb the stairs and then they couldn't get back down. So when you needed to use them, the horses would be up the stairs. So says the old wives' tales. Which I like to believe it because it's funny. This place has been sanctified. It can protect the area around it from corruption of the abyss. Yay. All right, let's go talk to Erebeth. We have a tiefling we need. Erebeth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How's the city? So, there's a tiefling chained up in Defender's Heart. What can you tell me about him? Wolyif is a petty thief from a gang of thieflings operating in Canabaris. That's what we call them in these parts. They tried to rob a vendor of magical items recently. Unfortunately, we apprehended only one of them, and the rest managed to escape. We have nowhere else to keep him, apart from the Defender's Heart, but that's hardly a prison. Wolyif knows it too. He's been begging us for days to let him go free or have someone vouch for him. He's already asked you to put in a good word for him, hasn't he? Erebeth squints at you thoughtfully, then shrugs. If you want to recruit Wolyif and put him to good use, go ahead and take him off our guards' hands. We can ill afford to let his soldiers spend their days watching over a middling thief. I hope the tiefling proves useful, should you decide to take him along. Alright, thank you. That was really easy. Go, may Omid keep you safe. Wait, did I need to talk to you about anything else? What is our main objective? Let's see. You heard what the demons said. They're going to desecrate the Wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the World Wound. That would be an even worse disaster than the World Wound's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabaris, but every city within a Wardstone, or with a Wardstone, would be destroyed. Including the capital. We can't allow that no matter what. We will retake it and even destroy it if we must. Iomede's gift must not become a weapon for the Abyss. I feel like we've already asked what these Wardstones are. Their greatest treasure, the shield given to us by Iomede herself, and placed in Canabaris and other Mendevian cities and fortresses by her herald. The chain of Wardstones forms a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the World Wound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if that barrier falls. Alright, well, allow me to ask a few personal questions? Running a little bit, Erebeth nods. Please, but I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Where are you from? I was born in Canabaris. I grew up on a farm just outside it, but my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of traveling through foreign lands before I came to be where I've always belonged. How did you become a paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it. Believe it or not, the story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders, may their souls stand together in Iomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy. But my father was an orc. He'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, more pious servant of the goddess than he. But still, all his life he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older, and it was time for me to serve, I decided, anywhere but Cockatrice. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters, led by the honorable prelate Helrune, stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they'd have done to a strange girl with green skin? Instead, I went to... A smirk that looks more like a painful grimace crosses her face. You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose Lastwall of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that's been battling the orcs of Belkzen since its foundation. Bless you, Helrune. Yeah, that famed prelate he stalked. During the First Crusade, holy warriors streamed into Mendev, where they encountered Sarkorians practicing their unique Druidic faith. The Crusaders mistook the wooden idols and rustic rituals for evidence of demonic influence. Groups of witch hunters emerged from the disorganized chaos of the First Crusade. These witch hunters were often self-styled, their tactics little more than brutal trial and error. The least bit of evidence could mark a target for investigation, a club foot, a thick accent, or even a suspicious absence of abnormalities. The witch hunter groups gained reputations for being cruel and arbitrary, although these weren't always deserved. Demons ranged freely across the Whirlwind and often spilled into Mendev. Demonic possession did happen, though not nearly as often as the witch hunters claimed. Genuine witch hunters used divination magic and cautious investigation to draw out and destroy fiends. But they were rare compared to the zealous inquisitors who burned innocents at the stake. With the advent of the Fourth Crusade, the authorities took strong measures to end the bloody witch hunts of Mendev. Since then, the frequency of hunts has dropped considerably. What is Hold of Belkzen? While orcs can be found throughout Golarion, nowhere else are they as plentiful or live in as densely populated settlements as in the Hold of Belkzen. Belkzen is an unforgivable wasteland filled with shrub brush, steep mountains, and uneven badlands, where water is scarce and generally limited to the seasonal flood road. There were many there like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin. But even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized the simple truth. I serve Iomade, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them, so I left, as a paladin, but not a knight. Things are bound to be tough for you too. Most common folk fear death and hate the undead even more than they do orcs. I'm sure you're no stranger to sideways looks and whispers behind your back. Yeah. How did you come to join a knightly order? I left Lastwall and went traveling. The goddess guided me, and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims, of course. I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Cockatrice. But I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back. But in the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. River kingdoms. The river kingdoms have long been a haven for inland pirates, anarchists, exiles, and anyone who cannot seem to make it in more civilized nations. The kingdoms are by no means a unified nation, but rather a constantly shifting group of city-states and fiefdoms, each at war with the others, both to gain more power and prevent their own demise. The river kingdoms are located in the marshy lowlands of the Sullen River Basin, where its 3 branches combine in their journey south to the inner sea. There are few roads throughout the land, and the branching web of the Sullen and its tributaries provide the primary means of transportation through and within the region. It happened in Timon. I was tracking a gang of bandits, my gosh, which my employer suspected was a cover for Razmiran spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies. An unholy temple to Zon Kuthan. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anevia. But that's another story. Razmerin. The realm known as Razmerin was once just another turbulent, violent river kingdom, the Archduchy of Melkat, where leadership changes often as the years. This ended in 4661 when the land was conquered by Razmir, a tyrant claiming to have ascended to godhood. Zon-Kuthon. The deity Zon-Kuthon, also known as the Midnight Lord, the Dark Prince, and the Prince of Pain, god of darkness, envy, loss, and pain, possesses one of the most twisted and evil minds in the great beyond. His position as god of pain is well earned, and he has been the root of countless tortures, murders, and worse throughout time. He was once a benevolent demigod named Dowel Baral, but was corrupted when he traveled to the far dark places between the planes and returned in his current form. His half-sister Sellen, bless you, Shellen, still holds out hope that she can redeem him, though the Lord of Shadows shows no sign of remorse or compassion. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread throughout all of Avestan, including Mindav. Worse, the documents clearly showed that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canobras, and were even among the ranks of the Paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be tantamount to desertion. Luckily, I was no longer alone, and Nevia was as eager to destroy the cultists as I was. Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. Pledging their lives to Baphomet, these cultists schemed to subvert the good works of the Crusaders. They caused trouble in Crusader camps, instigating fights and egging participants on to greater violence. They spread lies and sowed the seeds of fear with voices sweetened by magic. Some have even assumed the roles of holy crusaders and risen in the ranks of other knightly orders, waiting for the moment when their treachery can be used to achieve a most foul end. Nevi and I hurried to Canobras. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation, and my beloved, the half-orc smiles warmly, she knew her way around working locks, trailing people, and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. Do you know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Hulrune was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first, she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered its command to me and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks. I can't imagine the followers of Zon-Kuthon in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should, but Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zon-Kuthon's butchers as eagerly as Iomede's knights. The cultists from that unholy temple didn't know the face of their associates in Canobras. We ourselves learned the truth much later, after getting to the bottom of their nests. How did the people of Canobras feel about your background? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently, the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There were already many like me here, and we don't have any problems. Though the locals do have their superstitions. Mindev is as merciless as Lastwall. They just have a different set of victims. I kept seeing those same sideways looks and scowls, hearing the familiar whispers. But where once they used to whisper behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be on the other side of humiliation. To wipe the spit from your face and suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about tieflings. It's true, there are many of them among the cultists, and few among our crusaders. And our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them, call them Aureliu's spawn, or worse, as if they choose to be born like that. I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all my time in Canobras. So sad. Tell me about Anevia. We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Canabras together to expose the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was my second happiest day of my life. The first day was the day of our wedding. But Anevia isn't just my beloved, she's my staunchest ally. We share our victory. Well, we share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then. The day Canabras fell, before her return, the only thing giving me the strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope that I'd see her again. We're in your debt. Oh, thank you for all your answers. That was a lot. Oh, I guess while we're still talking, tell me about the Eagle Watch. It was a small order created to fight not only demons, but also the enemy within. To maintain the purity of the Paladin ranks, prevent heresy, and identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated and formed their nest within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Anevia and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed. We organized ways to transmit messages and orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies around the city, from Crusader orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade, to purge the city of the Templars who had infested it. And I thought I was winning. I could feel it, and we were so close to driving the cultists out of Canabras, but... Erebeth frowns. It's hard to admit. But those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be a headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to demons. The lines on Erebeth's forehead soften. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. Okay, now let me leave. Go. May Omide keep you safe. We need to go recruit us a tiefling.
Careful now.
That was a lot of talking. Where is he? There he is.
Well, Chief, what do you got for me?
I talked to Erebeth, and I've decided to make you part of my troop. We'll see how it goes.
You must be a smooth talker. Come on, Delvin. Get these bracelets of yours off me.
You're sure to regret this. This tiefling will fleece you for everything you've got. Mark my words.
It'll be fine.
You're a bitter little man, Delvin. Petty and mean. You can't even be happy for me, can you? I pity you. I'll leave you alone with your sad little soul. So long. And now, Chief, straight down to business. You see, I'm one of those guys that people around here call thieflings. We just call ourselves the family. After we knocked over that shop and I got stuck here in the Defender's Heart, a little bird told me that Big Sister Charisme wanted to see me. That she had some questions to ask me. You following? Now, she won't be asking me questions like, Woljif, how'd you manage to get out of this one? Or, Woljif, you're so thin, didn't they feed you? No, something serious has gone down, and I just know they want to try to pin something on me. I can feel it in my tail. So, I knew right away that I couldn't go alone. You turned up just in time, Chief. You don't need to do anything when we get there. Just stand behind me and look mean, and I'll handle the rest. Somehow. Let's go, I'll show you the way.
All right, Woljif. Bye-bye. What were we unable to identify? Bracers? Is he wearing bracers that we were unable to identify? What are we identifying? Oh, hey, Chief, want to talk? Do I want to know more about you? Oh my gosh. Ooh. Are your family tieflings too? My family is an interesting story, actually, but I don't tell it to just anyone. My father and mother had a bakery. Their life was great, but their gods never blessed them with any children. One day, my mother went to the river to wash some clothes and saw a basket floating downstream. Inside the basket was a baby, adorable and chubby and fast asleep. It was yours truly. In my hand was a note spritzed with expensive perfume that said, "Take care of my little angel." My mother brought me home, and she and my father realized right away that I was heaven sent. When they raised me as their own, when I turned 15, my mother showed me my baby blanket. It was embroidered with the coat of arms of an unknown kingdom, all in gold thread. Ever since then, I've been looking for my real parents. But it's not easy. Traveling takes money. So if you have a few gold coins, I'll pay you back as soon as I find my real family. I give you my word. Woljef, that doesn't sound very believable at all. Seriously? Usually everyone just believes everything I say. People love stories like that. You know, a cute baby, a basket, a blanket. What's not to love? They look at me differently, as if I'm worth more than just because the sheets I spit up on might have had a fancy coat of arms on them. Woljef laughs bitterly. If I was really a prince, I wouldn't be sitting around here. I can tell you that much. I'd have already gone to take what was rightfully mine. And then I'd come back with an army, so I could watch the guards and merchants who pushed me around all my life and bow and scrape before me. But that's not going to happen. Want to hear the real story? The true story is boring. My family is human, both my father and my mother. They used to live in a village nearby. I forget the name. When my ma had me, my old man got so mad he almost killed her. Pinned her to the wall and started asking questions, like why his son had horns and a tail. Well, my ma told him that her mother, my grandma, used to fool around with a demon. When he heard this, Daddy Dearest got drunk, trashed the house, and then took off. I don't remember any of this, of course. My grandma told me. I was about 3 years old when my mother brought me to Cockatrice and left me with my grandma. She said to her, "You and your demon have ruined my life. Now you handle him." And then she left. I haven't seen her or my dad since. She did leave a blanket, though. That part was true. But my grandma burned it because it was infested with lice. It wasn't even good enough to use as a rag. You think after all that, my grandmother saw the light, felt rightly ashamed and kissed my horns? I wish. Woljef grins nastily, his yellow eyes flashing. People used to give her trouble for fooling around with a demon. She wasn't welcome anywhere, so she got angry. Normal kids get bedtime stories, see, but the only tales I got told were how my dad was worthless, my mom was a slut, and I was a demon spawn that no one cared about. She only kept me so I could help around the house and steal things she needed. So that's the truth. Wow. Wow, okay. Well, your shadow looks strange. What kind of magic is that? Ladies and gentlemen, oh, I scared everybody in the building. Roll up, no dark magic, no fraud. A trick without any deception. Woljef snaps his fingers and blue flame engulfs him. The shadow that was previously lying calmly at his feet grows, floating in the air behind him. It is the shadow of a huge horn-winged demon with claws. Ta-da! It doesn't do anything, it just looks scary. I remember when I was little, an old beggar showed me and my friends how to make shadow puppets. You put your fingers together in front of a light and it makes the shadow of a deer or a dog or a dove on the wall. I tried so hard, I wanted to make the best shadow, and I did. It just happened. Woljef chuckles sadly. Funnily enough, that's the last time I had any real friends. They tried to stone me later, screaming at me, calling me a demon. A tiefling is always a demon to those wimps. Even the lowest-ranking drunken gnome thinks he's better than me, just because he hasn't got horns or a tail. The poorest beggar and the filthiest gutter thinks he's better than me. Most people would never show their shadow again after the first time, but I don't care. If stones start flying again, I'll just run. I'm used to it by now. Looks formidable. I like it. Woljef chuckles, pleased. What about the blue fire? That's my favorite part, and it doesn't burn at all. If I had a coin for every time I've caught a beating for my little show here, I'd already be proposing to Galfrey. But still, I don't want to give up on something so beautiful. That's kind of fun. You have demon blood in you. Do you feel drawn to the abyss? Woljef's tail whips back and forth nervously, raising clouds of dust. Why? Are you an inquisitor or something? What's it to you? If I've wronged you somehow, just come out and say it. Don't ask me trick questions. I know how it happens. I used to know a fella. He was married to the sister of a guard. Some shady types got him drunk one night and started asking him suspicious questions about the gods, about the queen. So he wakes up, hungover with a headache. Someone's mumbling something. It smells like smoke, and his feet are kind of hot. He looks down and there's a fire under him, and the prelate is reading out his sentence. Yeah, I don't want to burn you at the stake. Well, how did you become a tiefling? Woljef grins happily. I already was a tiefling. Life made me a thief. I've been in this business since I was a kid. My grandma used to say, if you don't work, you don't eat. And she gave me as an apprentice to Jaeger, a tiefling neighbor of ours. He was a cunning old geezer. He knew how to make a purse off somebody's belt, how to cut open bags undetected, even do some magic. I used to climb through basement windows and open doors from the inside while I was still small enough. And when I grew and stopped fitting through the windows, I decided I was done with my education. I repaid my grandma for everything she'd done for me, which was absolutely nothing. Why would I feed her if she wasn't bringing me any money? If you don't work, you don't eat. So I took off. I got bored of my teacher too. And when I was as much as hinted, as leaving, he said I owed him for my education. So I just nodded, and then I joined the Owlbears, the gang that ran our district, and told them that Jaeger was working their territory. I don't know what happened to him, but I stayed with the Owlbears. Then their leader started giving me the cold shoulder. I mean, I did steal from him, but never that much, so I had to rat them out to the guards. Then I joined the Golden Hands. That was a good time, rich pickings. I would have stayed with the Golden Hands, but the Northmen promised me a bigger cut if I told them where the Golden Hands kept their loot. I'm no fool, of course, so I told them. After that, I only had one option, to join the Northmen. And then the family came. At first, no one took them seriously, calling them thieflings and all that, but I felt it right away. They had power behind them, and they had more money. I'm always on the winner's side, Chief. That's why I joined the thieflings. And right on time, some thugs came from the capital and made the Northmen leave. The ones who survived are in the family now, too. Wow. Well, tell me about them. Alright, I won't tell you everything mine, but I can tell you a little. The Thieflings are Mendevian thieves. The gang was started in Mendev's capital by someone or other, and soon after they'd spread all over Galarian. They're also called the Family. You know why? Because us Tieflings are easy to spot. Wherever we go, guards always hassle us asking, "Are you lost or something, Hornhead?" We usually say we're visiting family. And if they say, "Oh yeah, who?" you give him the name of a local Thiefling who confirms everything, even if he's never seen you before in his life. That's why we're all brothers and sisters. There are rules. Who does what, who gets what cut. I won't say it's a lot, but they make it worth your while. They'll even heal you if you take an arrow. But the biggest no-no is this. You don't steal from the family. If you don't contribute to the shared pot, you'll get the cold shoulder. You won't be treated like family no more. And then everyone will hear that you went to visit some relatives who have a farm someplace. My best guess? The farm is in some underground well beneath Canabras where they breed grave worms. If Sister Charisme, right? Our boss looked the other way more often, I'd really be able to spread my wings. You know, nobody should live under the constant threat of punishment. You could kill Charisme and take her place. And now there's an idea. Nice try, Chief, but I'm no killer, never have been, and assassins are expensive. You know, they bumped up the prices last year. I asked a friend of mine why he charged so much, and he says to me, "I've learned to see the true value of my work. I read in a book that whatever you think you're worth, that's what you'll earn." Can you believe it? I didn't even know the mug could read. So I can't just have Charisme taken care of. It's too much trouble, and no one will like it. People respect her, mean as she is. Alright, well, what do you think of Canabras? It used to be such a hole, and then the Crusaders and refugees came here, and things started looking up. Although it depends who you ask, I suppose. Witches better steer clear of here, because Iomede's followers are ferocious. Especially Helrun Shapuk? Whatever. The prelate's weird. The local inquisitor, he's a tough old goat. I didn't see it myself, but a serving girl at the tavern told me that her second cousin's son from his third wife is a paladin, and he said that Helrun took an unsheathed sword with him even to the privy, and when he sleeps, he puts it on the pillow next to him, and when he's in his cups, he strokes the blade and whispers sweetly to it, "You are my one true friend. You are the only one I can rely on." Erebeth's given us a hard time, too. You as much look at some nice little bauble. And before you can think of taking it, before your fingers even twitch, she's coming for you with her nostrils flaring, her fangs glinting. Scary woman. But even she's better than Sister Charisme, our boss here in Canabras. By our, I mean the Thiefling's boss. If you get caught by Erebeth, it's all out in the open. You go to prison or you end up as worm food. But if you step on Charisme's toes, poof, you're gone, just like that. No one ever sees you again. All you'll hear is, "He went to the family farm." Even though he's never had a family or a farm. Oh, that was a lot. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Chief. Let's talk later. Whatever, you're free to do as you please. I hope so. You don't own me. You also scared everyone away, except for Jernog. Okay, let's get out of here. I'm tired of talking. We've got us some quests that we need to go do. Okay, you can join the party. Let me level up everybody real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, we got everybody leveled up. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Now, where do we want to go? There's the mansion. I think this is on the side. Yeah, this is on the same side of the river. Or whatever. We'll go up here first. We'll go to the Thiefling's hideout. What is this? Bloody carcass of a strong steed with a broken leg is covered in mangled armor. The saddlebag is intact. You can procure some reagents for crafting. Okay, that's great. What did we do? Did we, like, find that, I guess? Oh, yeah, new location found. Oh, hey, she identified the bracers of armor +2. I'm assuming that's going to stay there, so we'll just continue on our way. Do we want to enter this location? Yes. Let me save. I haven't saved in a hot minute. Granted, we spent like 2 hours talking to people in that tavern. Okay, Thiefling, we have to say, hey, you! I've got my eyes on you. Good for us. Thiefling. Sister Karishme. There's my dragon. Look, there he is. Sister Karishme, the basement is dark and dank, and you are immediately struck by the hostility of the gathered tieflings. 5 of them are kneeling along the wall, separate from the rest. The tall woman, who had been cleaning her fingernails with the tip of a knife, greets you with narrowed eyes. Brother Wooljeff, you've got my message then. Sorry, I couldn't swing by sooner, dear Sister Karishme. It was just one thing after another. First I was in shackles, next, well, no, I was still in shackles and I was being watched, and then the chief got me out. And I came here straight away. I knew you'd be waiting on me. Enough talking, or else we'll be here all night. So, we had a clear plan. We were going to wait for nightfall, slip into the shop, grab the goods, and leave. Even when the neighbors called the guard, there was time to get away. But what happened? That bitch Erebeth showed up almost right away. So, she knew we'd be there. Somebody betrayed us, and I have a good idea who it was. What do you have to say to that? Make it quick. Do you think Wooljeff knows the name of the traitor? Karishme turns to you. She speaks. I thought Wooljeff only brought you so he'd have someone to hide behind if things went south. Yes, he knows the name of the traitor. Every gang that Brother Wooljeff has been part of has very quickly come to an end. Their hideout location was passed to the guards, or their competitors found out where they could ambush them. Wooljeff is the only one who always comes out smelling of roses. If you think about it, you'll come to the same conclusion as us. I'd have to say that meant that Wooljeff was cursed with finding friends among losers and screw-ups. But now that he's with us, that must mean the curse has been broken. That depends. He was indeed most fortunate to find himself in a party with me. On the other hand, he also ended up in the party with you. Please, guys. Canobris is burning. Why are you squabbling here instead of fleeing the city? Karishme purses her lips. I'd be glad to leave, like the rest of my brothers and sisters, but in the family, there's nothing worse than betrayal. And it's something we do not forgive. We don't forgive anyone who lets traitors off the hook either. If I don't find the rat, my superiors, let's just say I'll wish I was burning in Canobris. I want to keep living, so I'm going to take a chance until I find out who is the traitor here. No one is leaving. Well, Wooljeff, tell us your side of the story. What happened? What's there to tell? About a week ago, Sister Karishme got 6 of us together in this very basement. Me and those 5 other there, Wooljeff jerks his head toward the 5 thieflings kneeling by the floor, or wall, whatever. She rounds us up and she says we've got a score. Ancient tree, whatever, and wonders. The one place nobody's ever been able to hit. The place that's guarded by a golem. But now a powerful scroll that would knock out the golem just happened to come into our possession, along with the tip-off that the shop owner would be gone on a particular night. All 6 of us know a bit of magic, and we know that any enchanted junk will sell for a pretty penny, so we're in. And the most important thing was that none of us want to be hanging around the shop ahead of the job. No casing out the place, no calling attention to ourselves from either the golem or its master. This job was top secret. That's all true so far. Go on. We did everything right with the locks and the golem. I picked the lock. I remember it clear as day. Sister Dalna was on lookout. Brother Melroon had the scroll. Doffy, Tavi, and Varnir brought the sacks. We covered the windows and lit the torches. I remember scooping up rings and tossing them in a sack, and one right expensive one rolled away from me. I crawled under a table after it, and next thing I know, Erebeth was there. Everybody scampered, but I was still under the table. Not my finest moment. I was going to wait it out, but then those blockheads were dragging me out by my tail and put me in shackles. They took all my rings off me, about 20,000 worth. Oh, jeez, that's really expensive. And to add insult to injury, I never even found the last one. In the end, I got busted over nothing. So they caught you, poor thing, stripped you of your loot, and you didn't even manage to stash anything? Karisme is pointedly polishing her knife. Where's the moon of the abyss, Brother Wooljeff? What's the moon of the abyss? It was an amulet. I used to sit on a little cushion in the window of ancient trees and wonders. Sterling silver sparkled like a star. Fine piece of work. On one side there was a half moon. You know, a crescent, a waning moon. And in the middle there was a dark crystal, like it was eclipsing the moon. Old man Philemon was so proud of that amulet. He used to say, "I'll never sell it. It's the jewel of my collection." Wool just sighs unhappily. I used to go there to see what kinds of treasures there were in the world. There's nothing else to look at in Canabaris. People used to claim it was a powerful thing, but who's to say? If you ever stole a thing like that, you'd have the guards on you the second you tried to fence it. Everybody knew that you were always hanging around that place, drooling over the moon of the abyss. Did you think you could swipe it all in the commotion and keep it for yourself? Did you hope that we'd all be locked up and you'd get off scot-free and with a fancy trinket to boot? Don't take me for a mug, Wooljeff. I see right through you. So why would Erebeth arrest her own informant? Took the words right out of my mouth. It doesn't make any sense. If I was the rat, I'd have kissed her on the hand and been long gone by now. You know me, sister. I'm a cautious fella, not an idiot. Why would I go against the family? So the fish in the cellar can have a nice Wooljeff-sized dinner? The moon of the abyss is a pretty bauble, to be sure, but it's an amulet. It ain't worth dying over. You knew Erebeth's people would protect you. You knew you could pin the moon going missing on them, and now you've come here with backup. You know exactly what I was going to say to you. Only problem is, nobody's returned the amulet to Philemon. Are you giving Erebeth a cut? Is that it? Have you seen her? Do you think she'd take a cut of anything I offered her? She can't be bought. She's like 3 heralds of Iomedae all rolled into one. He speaks the truth. You'll find some knights who'll take bribes. I'm sorry to say, but Erebeth Tirabade isn't one of them. Alright, go on, Wooljeff. That's the whole sorry story. Wooljeff crosses his arms looking affronted. Some family this turned out to be. It's just a name in the end. In a real family, people take each other at their word. They don't throw around accusations. I didn't take the moon of the abyss. What am I going to do with it? You can't sell it to no crusaders. It's a special item. You can't wear it. It'll get nicked. It's pretty to look at, sure, but it ain't that pretty. If it's that important to you, Sister Karisme, I'll find it, and I'll drag the traitor here by his horns, just so you don't end up at the bottom of the Sullen. But do you know what you're going to owe me for that? An apology. Right here in front of everyone. You're going to apologize loud and clear so everybody hears it. You'll say, "Sorry, Wooljeff, you're a good guy and I was wrong about you." Ugh, fine. You're one of my people, which is why I'm going to give you some time. But if you run, Brother Wooljeff, the family will get you wherever you go. You'll spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, tossing and turning at night, fearing poison in every cup and every meal. You'll look into the eyes of every tiefling you meet, wondering if the family's come for you. You'll have no peace, but one day, you'll be tired of running. You'll stop to catch your breath, and that is when we'll get you. Got that? You've a way with words, Sister Karisme. A way that almost made me wet myself, but a way nonetheless. Let's go, Chief. We'll go chat to that scary gal, Arabeth. She knows you a little. We can ask her who routed us out. I'll let you do the talking. Right? We'll find the real traitor. And I'll get my apology. Onward to Arabeth, Chief. Let's go clear my good name. Root out the traitor, but be quick about it. Time's running out. I don't want to get chewed up by demons. Yeah, let's not go get chewed up by demons.